Hi guys, welcome back to the Department of Filtration. Today we're going to be looking at the Wesfil Cooper oil filter, the WZ432. Now I'm interested to see what this is like. They're made by GUD, which is the same people that make RYCO filters, but they're about half the price. Might do a video later on comparing them directly. This time we're just going to have a look at this filter, but it's pretty cheap. I got this one for about $9, whereas the RYCO is about $23 in this same Z432. So on the box, distributed by Wesfil, made in China. The warranty. So it's a blue filter, Cooper oil filter. It's changeable with your RYCO part number on there, not a whole lot. It's just standard fitting instructions on there. Part number with date code on the top. Plastic wrap, which is always good. Eight rounding holes there and a gasket that looks like it's pretty well on there. That's one of these ones, much like an OEM with a little lip. Which sits in there quite nicely. That back in, if I can. Easiest to get in and out, but they're not designed for that. They're designed to stay in, so that's good. It's a nice design on the gasket there. Go ahead and get it cut open and we'll see what's in there. Rightio, I've got that cut open now, and take a look at our base plate. So I've got our 8 average sort of size holes. About 4 threads there, seem just fine. It's not a very thick base plate, like it is probably one of the thinnest I've seen. It's not like it's flimsy or anything, but it's definitely not thick. Look at the valve from the flick of it. I'd say it's silicon, obviously blue, which is a bit different. Sits pretty nicely in the top of that canister. It's not too great of a fit on that, especially considering that it does rely on the valve itself. It's not just a small little bit of rubber between the canister and that. It's actually a fair bit of valve there. It does seal pretty good on there. One thing that annoys me about this is how tall it is. It just essentially means that they're using this valve as a spacer. Some filters like the Wix one I did in one of my other videos uses a metal spacer between the top of this and the filter and the top of the can. And the reason you would want that, if you give you an example, this is a valve off a filter that sort of fits as it sort of should on there, so it's not much space there, and then fits hard up against the top of that base plate. So yeah, there's not really any room there, whereas if we take this, to be able to see because of the way it's been cut, but there's a fair bit more room under there than there has to be, which what that means to me is that this element is not necessarily one that's designed particularly for this filter, and it may also fit in a smaller filter can for a different part number, but if they put this spacer in there, then it allows it to fit in this bigger can. So it's a bigger can, smaller amount of filter than you would get from a decent manufacturer that actually made a different element for every type of filter that it actually made. So just my little nitpicky thing about that. Apart from that, it fits pretty good. We've got a little coil spring, which is not too bad. Pretty nice actually. It's got a little locator. It's not the tightest, but it does have a locator. It's pretty good. What are we looking at? About 0.5. So it's on the good side of average. It's not too thin. It's not incredibly thick. And an element. Nice element with metal end caps. Spring loaded bypass down the bottom. Center core with holes. Nice even pleating on the media there. Crimped center tube. One thing I will say is, much like the newer RYCOs and super cheap ones, this end caps are extremely thin. You can see how thin that. It's just like it's made out of sheet metal instead of actual proper decent metal. I suppose it's probably better than a felt one, but we'll get this media cut out and have a look at it. Right, so I've got this media come out. It comes out at 156 centimetres long. .56mm wide. Pretty average, something, a filter this size. It's not the biggest filter on the market. I'm going to say there's too much wrong with that amount. That pleat spacing was pretty even, as is typical, as we have seen in other RYCO made filters. Very minimal, very low quality on the glue, pretty much none there. These things normally don't move very easily when I cut the filter, but this just came straight off. You can see down in the base there. Pretty much no glue holding the bottom of that on, which we'll take a look at the media, but like looking at this and looking at the way it's made, what it looks like, I'll go out on a limb and say that it is going to be very similar, if not the same, as the RYCO. It is. I don't want to do a comparison with other ones I've got. I want to wait till I've actually got a Z432 and I'll do a separate video comparing them both. but this is looking very, very similar to RYCO. Even it's got the same quality issues. Stuff pulling away anyway. We'll have a look at this media under the microscope, see what that is like. Right, so that was the media under the microscope, and as expected, it looked pretty below standard on the microscope. We could see a few little holes, very thin spots in the media there. Like in general, it doesn't look too bad, but you can even see it when you hold this stuff up to the light. How thin in some places it is. It doesn't look too great. Under the microscope you can see those few thin spots. So as I said, I will do a video comparing this to a RYCO one, but in essence we've got the same problems with this filter that we've got in a RYCO. Everything on the surface appears to be really nice, decent can, decent plate, nice coil spring, silicon valve, metal end caps. When we look at it, we've got, in my opinion, substandard levels of glue and media that doesn't make it up to scratch. You're going to have oil flowing through the media that's not going to get filtered properly down to its appropriate micron size, because it can go through those bigger holes. And if you're real unlucky, as the filter media becomes more plugged, it's just going to tear away from some of this glue that either it's not stuck very well, as it doesn't seem to be, or there's not enough and it just pulls right away. In my personal opinion, there's nothing, just in my personal opinion, it's not the greatest. I mean, as I said, when you look at it just in general, it looks like a pretty nice filter. Wouldn't have any issues with it, but when you look close, it's the same old glue and media that are letting it down a bit. So that's the Cooper Wesfil WZ432 oil filter.